You know, Bollywood movies were always a thing I wanted to cover on this channel. I had made attempts, but I never really took a deep dive into any specific series. I thought about covering the 10 Years Too Late spy universe during Pathan, but while watching the trailer fight scene, I thought wow, 20 years ago they really did it better. I got the hard on boom, boom, I can't stop to ride. The first Dhoom is now 20 years old, and I thought it was time for me to fully revisit the trilogy that was once the pinnacle of Bollywood action franchises. Forget about the edgy teenagers that want Animal Park. Take me back to when people used to debate who the next Dhoom villain was going to be. These three movies fascinate me. Each film somehow found a way to be more bizarre than the last, and when this franchise failed, it did so in extraordinary fashion.
Happy burger. Juice se khate hain.
While every action movie today tries to be geopolitical, Dhoom was just motorbike action powered by strange sexual energy. I want to go on a journey, not simply laughing at Dhoom, because I do generally enjoy some aspects of each movie, except this one. I don't want to just make fun of Amir for killing this franchise. I want to dissect this franchise one video at a time to at least understand why things turned out the way they did. Like a research paper on how YRF, how did these guys capture lightning in a bottle with the first Dhoom? Now you may think I am overthinking and overanalyzing this trilogy, which I am, but the whole idea that action movies can get away with being dumb kind of got us to the bottom of the barrel filmmaking we see today. But who am I to talk? This is a YouTuber who is going to conduct this entire series in English. You see, as a young Canadian boy whose parents were Trinidadian, my only gateway to these movies was through Albion Cinema and Royal Audio Video. If you know, you know. Let's do a quick rewind. In the 90s, the industry received a resurgence when family fun-oriented films took center stage, especially compared to the violent action movies of the 80s. A dog was an umpire, let's just marvel at that for a second. The industry then proceeded to overdose on that genre, which led to crash and fatigue by the early 2000s. Yash Raj Films, headed by Aditya Chopra, was looking to diversify their film production. I mean, they just made a ripoff of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, so it was only up from here. I mean, the lead actor from that movie quit working with the company because of this. I don't think anything would bring him back. Dhoom was the testing grounds for the action genre, and not a very big gamble for the company as one would think. Looking at the top 9 performers at the worldwide box office, we see Dhoom ranked number 4, but what makes this endeavor more lucrative was the budget placing second to last of those 9 films. The only expensive thing about Dhoom was the bikes, which is really what brings me to the cast of Dhoom. Instead of a typical past his prime actor being the villain, they realized, hey, this is a film taking inspiration from Point Break, Ocean's 11, and Fast and Furious. It's time for the new generation. A motorcyclist first, John Abraham. John got briefed that he wouldn't have any heroine, funny lines, or songs. He was just there to be a straight up badass. John, completely understanding the assignment, just said thank God, and the rest is history. Abhishek Bachchan was obviously a household name despite coming onto the scene in a very downtime in the industry. He was briefed that he would not win any awards for this movie since most of the film relied on the action, and his character really occupies the low budget segments, but he did need a hit to his name and this was going to look like it. Uday tested really well with audiences when he was more of a funny character, so he was cast and actually did a character study to get the accent he uses in the film. But it was his belief that even though he was playing more of a comic role, eventually he would be accepted for the action he portrayed in the film and eventually get to be a main hero. Isha Deol was given a complete makeover to portray a femme fatale. She had to physically get used to wearing the wardrobe she donned in the film, and Hema Malini was in Veer Zara, so I'm guessing a 2-for-1 went down. And Rimi Sen was actually the only cast member who was consistently successful in this downtime in the industry. Granted, she only had 2 films under her belt, and this was really supposed to be her next big step, which included a deleted sex scene. This movie was really trying to do it all. This movie starts off with the equivalent of the civics stealing DVDs from Fast and Furious. We see the gang at hand here is fast and calculated while the cops are not in a suitable position to respond. They get hit with helmets like it's goddamn Mario Kart, and the idea of a spike strip is foreign. Next we wake up to see our main character ACP J Dixit, and this is the only movie where I get to say that. We also get to see Sweetie Dixit, and hold on, did I lock the door? I need to close these blinds, Jesus Christ. Getting straight into just foreplay because they didn't keep the following sex scene. I gotta say this movie is doing some great work with the colors and aesthetic. Like damn, look at those paint cans. Jay is like Captain America in this movie, and it's not because he's the one cop who's not corrupt, it's because he puts honest work over sweetness. This is why you skip the foreplay. Next we are introduced to Ali, the character Uday Chopra was born to play. He has a pretty good scheme at making money and winning races, but he can't win at love. We laughed at this guy back then and grew up towards today's society.
So, I want to be passed around so bad, but my boyfriend just wants a monogamous relationship. It's 2024. Expecting to be with one person for your entire life is like unreasonable.
This is where we are also introduced to the Suzuki Bandit. Despite the name, it works pretty well as a good guy motorcycle. It's vibrant and reflects well with the environment. If people saw this bike in the wild, I'd like to think they'd recognize it from this movie. Jay and Sweetie pretends to be the Jetsons.
Hey, no. I took this one out for you. You take this one, I keep this. You are not taking my whole wallet so you can go shopping.
I was just gonna buy some groceries.
Bullshit.
And then like 10 minutes later, Ali meets Sweetie, a dog, and the front hood of a car. He is then paired up with this dog and daydreams a life with a stranger as if she liked his Instagram story. The police somehow think Ali is the robber because he fences bikes and wins at race wars, which prompts Jay to carry out a stakeout that leads him and Ali to a market to buy a bike, I guess. Like they would really find the Hayabusa in this colorful locale. Jay then bumps into the equivalent of that one high school kid who was always intense because he was on Xanax for the entire day and he's down to fight over anything, or basically nothing. This prompts Jay to remove his glasses like he's putting his Crocs into sport mode, or he's Shadow the Hedgehog.
The world chooses to become my enemy. I will fight like I always have.
He triggers a gang war, and the two have to work together to escape everybody going apeshit. So Jay automatically assumes Ali is the robber because he clutched up when it was time to save him, but in a twist that surprised nobody, it wasn't him or these respectable gentlemen. It's obviously John Abraham because, well, you see, it's shown on the cover. This is when we are fully introduced to the gang that was behind the robberies. We see them in action and how they work well as a group, dispersing police forces and then outmaneuvering each one of them to escape towards the central rendezvous point. I gotta say, compared to how cartoonish this series really got with the logic, this whole scene is pretty grounded and very clear cut in showcasing how the gang efficiently gets the heist done. The gang poses undercover at some pizza place. Oh shit, it's actually called that. Jay is kind of a square and realizes he needs someone with street smarts and the bike to combat the gang. He strong arms Ali into working for the police, threatening to show Sweetie pictures of Ali fencing bikes, even though that wouldn't really change anything, but it's the principle. Meanwhile, Kabir and his teammates are at their lair. Rahul gets way too ahead of himself and gets a car, even though they are very clearly a bike gang. Kabir drives it fast and furiously off of a cliff, making fun of the fact that they were originally going to use cars and not bikes in this film. Meanwhile, Jay deduces where the next heist will happen and sets up a perimeter via stakeout since a given chase isn't a likely win for them. The stakeout ramps up when Dilbara enters the picture and Ali finds his new muse, not really paying attention to a loaded truck that goes by. This bites them in the ass when their bank does get robbed and Jay and Ali have to give chase. The gang does the thing I definitely recreated with my friends on bicycles. Jay decides to focus on Kabir since he's the only one with the Hayabusa. Kabir attempts to lose them via timing a jump over a moving train, but Ali manages to keep pace, which allows Jay to line up a shot. He shoots the bag of money off of Kabir and follows that up with the very early 2000s zoom up that ironically misses since Kabir did a dodge move, but it hit Rohit since he doesn't have plot armor. Kabir somehow manages to pick up Rohit at full speed and doubles down on a tank of Nos, and the gang escapes. Afterwards, Rahul is mad that his brother got shot because of the threat that just walked in. No, really, he's right there. He disses them on live television and flexes spoiling their operations. This motivates Kabir to take the ACP head on. He straight up calls Jay to challenge him for talking all that shit on television. The two men talk about how they are alike in thinking and would probably be friends if they didn't reside in two different worlds. But one thing is for certain, both men are confident in their ability to outlast the other. Jay believes he will catch Kabir, and Kabir believes he can walk right past him. Kabir offers to give Jay the intel he needs to be up to speed on the next robbery, so the two plan to meet at the crossroads, with all the other gang members being present in disguises. I guess they also wanted to be a part of this. Rohit is looking super bait, but then Kabir comes out and saves his ass. Kabir, pretending to be blind, then finesses the situation, exemplifying his earlier point while giving Jay the location and date of the next robbery. After the best rendition of the title song, Kabir comes out from under the stage and lights a path of fire. So of course Bachchan here has to go through it and miss point blank at shooting Kabir. It must have been the smoke. He then gets up and continues shooting. He's clearly on fire because he kills one of the gang members. It's Rohit again. He puts together the entire gang and how they operate as a unit. He then beats up Ali for letting a Bediol be his downfall for the past 2 robberies. Jay makes good on his word and retires from being the main character of the franchise. Wait, no, I'm 2 movies early. Kabir dissuades Rahul from taking revenge for Rohit's death in order to focus on the last mission. Still, they are down a man, so Kabir looks to recruit Ali. They race and Kabir does like the opposite celebration. It's not flashy, but to the point, while trusting everyone else not to ram into him. Kabir recruits Ali to join the gang and the crew goes to Goa. This is where Sheena is introduced as the final member of the group. The perspective now shifts to Kabir, orchestrating and explaining the very Ocean's 11's heist. The casino features a guarded vault without cameras. Kabir even says the robbery is happening on New Year's, and apparently the draft of Happy New Year was being made around this time, so there's that. Kabir explains that this is the last heist, and they will never have any contact with each other after this big score. So here's the plan. Ali is a prince, Hema Malini is his newly wedded wife because he converted to Islam, this lad is a computer guy, Rahul is a chef, the other guy is room service, and Kabir is a bartender. He uses his real name to stamp his belief that this heist will be successful, and the very last one. Suddenly Jay returns, and I guess he realized the glasses were stupid because they are gone now, like forever. He acts drunk and finally learns to balance his work and home life by just incorporating the 2 together. Because like Kabir, he is confident that he is gonna win. The 2 share a conversation about the themes of the film. Kabir makes sure to hammer home that Jay will never see him again and teases the bleak movie he's gonna have to carry in 10 years. Following this, Kabir meets up with his team, not giving a damn that Jay is in the building and the obvious connection at stake here. Kabir's confidence and pride means he's not gonna back down under any circumstances, even if it means he has to do the robbery alone. Sheena is very turned on by this. A fun music number coupled with the casino getting robbed makes Kabir finally have that drink, but the person off screen is someone you always have to keep an eye out for, and now we see that Jay has finally come full circle to Kabir's level, getting first-hand evidence of the robbery and putting it up for everyone to see. The 2 talk like they're Sonic and Shadow, good versus evil, an honest cop and a thief just taking turns roasting each other, while Ali is fully revealed to be this movie's mole. And this is the only time in the entire series it made sense for them to take this course of action. Kabir has a trick up his sleeve called a light switch and he runs away. Meanwhile, Ali off screen puts the money and the trailer together along with Sheena, finally coming to terms that being an honest cop is his purpose and he wants to change his ways to be good. Kabir shows up and projects his mistake of bringing Ali into the crew via violence. He offers Sunny Deol the chance to kill Ali, but I guess because he was just a pretty alright guy all around, she decides not to. Kabir takes a gun and just then, Jay somehow shoots his hand from across the lake with a pistol. Like he's a water type, he is not a fire type. Ali leaves with Jay to pursue everyone but Sheena on the truck. Lord Bobby is revealed to have actually liked Ali after all this time. She would go on to be arrested off screen and would be forgotten about for the entire series. Finally, after all of that and saving each other's ass, Jay and Ali finally team up to take the gang head on. Jay anchored the boat to the truck after both him and Kabir exchanged shots. Slowly, they work their way to take control of the truck, but Jay loses his gun in the process. Jay and Kabir finally fight, while Ali takes out the rest of the crew as they die in the most underwhelming ways possible. Jay and Kabir are doing so much gymnastics, and I was doing so many front flips when I first saw this scene as a kid. By the time Jay and Ali fully take control of the truck, Kabir escapes with the money, but by the end, Jay and Ali finally have him cornered. And with no moves left, Kabir chooses to take his own life. Jay and Ali run up to see this man's corpse instead of driving up for some reason. Jay relents that him and Kabir would probably be friends in another life. They walk off victorious, never to be the main characters ever again. Kabir, played by John Abraham, works immensely well as the villain. He was definitely born to play this character. While I do think John has a very underrated body of work during this time period, this is by far his most iconic role. The confidence and swagger he carries cements him as the greatest Doom villain. Every subsequent villain tried to emulate what made him work, but after watching these movies back to back, I can confidently say they can't even hold a candle to the energy and presence he has in this movie. The Hayabusa, or the Honda that looked exactly like it, and Kabir's hairstyle really caught on with the masses. For all these reasons, Kabir is a S tier villain, as is his bike. There's a reason why people speculate on ways he could come back from the dead. Every Doom villain after Kabir got more screen time, a bigger budget, and the entire studio's support. But when you look back at John as Kabir, it becomes very clear why he was the best villain. To put it simply, John was the best Doom villain because John was the only Doom villain. As the series went on, it was evident that the movies only cared about getting a bigger name to play the villain, diluting the concept of a villain for more broader appeal. This led to the stereotypical Disney-like villain in the third movie, but I will get to that another time. I have probably seen this movie over 100 times, and still it's refreshing how naturally John excels at being the villain without the entire movie being structured around him. This movie didn't try to make Kabir cool, he just was. Abhishek Bachchan also had a similar body of work, and he plays Jay. He serves as a straight man and a clear-cut good guy in the story. Any goodwill audiences have for this character, especially in the later films, is strictly due to this performance. Though he faces setbacks, he progresses through the story, shedding his square persona and glasses. By the end of the film, he feels on par with Kabir because he worked his way up to that level. He was always competent, but he was behind in tech. Jay is best portrayed in this movie, the only one where his name comes first in the credits. He's imposing, skilled, and kind of cool despite being a square. If John Abraham is Vin Diesel, then Abhishek Bachchan is Paul Walker. I said what I said. He is allowed to blunder here and there, but overall he does well with the material given to him. While some today dismiss his character, audiences back then felt the tension when his gun dropped. I won't be singing these praises when I cover the sequels. He's like a worse version of Batman in Begins, meaning he's best portrayed in the first film. However, I am placing ACP Jay Dixit's Doom variation in the S tier, right behind Kabir. Isha Deol as Sheena is fine, but she is definitely the weakest link of the lead cast. She doesn't really fit the role like a glove compared to the others. Why was she really smiling here? It feels so out of place in such a tense scene. However, she executes well in the songs, so for that I'm putting her in the C tier. Can her one fan just fight me on this? Ali is the only character that really tugs on your heartstrings. He has a lot of quirks and personality that is easily conveyed. While Kabir and Jay embody the cool thief and honest cop archetypes, they aren't as fleshed out as Ali. Being the son of the studio owner likely helped Uday Chopra land the role, but credit where credit's due. Many people enjoyed this performance. Compared to the sequels, you understand his motivations and why he does what he does in this movie. He does mess up here and there, but it's more about him being caught in the moment, especially in a trailer truck fighting scene where adrenaline took over and he's driving the truck instead of just stopping it. He has a decent arc, and while he's not my favorite character, I do like him only in this movie, and I know a lot of people do. So I'm gonna put him in the A tier. You know what? It's all downhill from here, so I'm gonna put him in the S tier. The Bandit is a B tier though. Sweetie is a very sweet woman. She parallels Jay in her desire for justice, though on a veterinarian level. It's refreshing that the hero has an easygoing wife with quirks like speaking Bengali when she's mad. Rimi Sen definitely understood the assignment, and for that I'm putting her in the S tier. Also, Kabir's gang is pretty good. You understand why they work well as a team. I'm giving their bikes a C tier though. The only bad parts of the movie are some of the low budget sections with Jay and Ali. The script tends to drag a bit in these parts. Sometimes the jokes don't land and Isha's performance is lacking. However, the film succeeds at what it's going for. The action is pretty good and has aged the best out of all the movies, since it didn't really rely on CGI. Most of the action is practical. John and Abhishek go on wires for 8 hours on top of a moving truck. And I gotta say, this is the one movie where the cast just works so well with each other. When it goes to Kabir and the gang members, Jay and Ali, Jay and Sweetie, Jay and Kabir, just everybody works so well together. They really work off each other well. You can tell there was a mutual respect across everybody when it came to the production. When Doom came out, critics were not pleased with it. They found the film too simple, lacking big emotional scenes, and glorifying bank robbery. But the beauty of Doom is its simplicity. It's cops versus robbers, a film for the youth. Compared Compared to today's convoluted CGI messes, this is really a modern classic. The film is edited in a very 2000s fashion but maintains its pacing pretty well. It benefits from having an even contest between the cops and the robbers, carrying tension and stakes that you just can't find in 2 and 3. It made many people get motorcycles and want to make things go Doom. By the end, we have our team for the future. Maybe, just maybe, this can be expanded into something unheard of for its time, a sequel.